We are back with some breaking economic data.
Inflation came in up 0.3% for the month of January, 3.1% year over year. Here to walk us through these numbers and, of course, let you know what they mean for you, we've got NBC Business and Data correspondent Brian Chung and NBC's senior business correspondent Christine Romans. Good morning to both of you.
So, Brian, first of all, walk us through the inflation numbers and how they compare with the previous month and just what we've seen over the past year.
Yeah, well, 3.1%. But what does that mean in context to numbers that we've seen in the past? So that 3.1% figure, by the way, that's a yearly figure. So the change in prices overall between January of this year and January of last year. And that is a little bit of a slowdown from the 3.4% pace we had seen in the December to December period. But you have to remember, economists have predictions on what they could see this number being. They expected this number to be 2.9%. So from that perspective, prices didn't slow down as much as economists had thought. One reason is perhaps shelter inflation, the cost of just putting a roof over your head on a monthly basis. That increased by 0.4%. We did also see food prices increase by 0.4% during the month. And then we also saw energy prices decline. So that did help a little bit because of the price of gasoline going down by about 3 cents per gallon. So that decreasing by almost 1 percentage point between the month. But again, overall, this report a little bit hotter than economists had expected.
Christine, what stands out to you here and what's it say about our economy?
You know, it's a little frustrating because you want these inflation numbers to come down. The Fed would like to see 2%. We're still at 3.1%. Yeah. So this is cooling inflation. That's good, but it's still hotter than I think the Fed, policymakers, and frankly, all of us who go shopping would like to see. One way to look at this also is that prices are cooling, inflation is cooling, but prices remain still elevated. When you go back 4 years, you got prices, consumer prices are up like 20% from where they were 4 years ago. So I think when people go and buy stuff, you know that you're still paying more. So we tell you inflation is cooling. This is certainly cooling from the December level, but at the same time, it's still been 4 years of higher prices, and that's frustrating. I would say frustrating, yeah. And we have more months. It's going to be a bumpy ride to get inflation back down to 2%.
So, Brian, you already gave us a little bit of a category breakdown there. I mean, what are just the things that are really still driving what we're seeing? Are there areas where we're seeing just, much lower inflation?
Yeah, well, I mean, let me translate some of these percentage changes just into the prices that you see at the store. And this underscores some of the frustration that Christine was just talking about that Americans are still feeling, right? Okay, yeah, we're talking about rates of change, but the number that I see on those price tags are going up. Let's take a look at eggs. This is comparing to January of last year, $2.51. It's about the same right now, $2.52. So not quite as bad as the egg apocalypse that we saw. Remember when eggs were like $5 a dozen? Gasoline prices did decline a little bit, as I mentioned, so $3.35 for all types averaged out. We did see milk prices decline a little bit. It used to be over $4, now just a smidge under that at $3.96. And then bread, that has been increasing over time, $2.02, now about $2.03. So, when you look at the overall picture, actually the prices aren't all that different than they were a year ago. But again, they're not declining substantially. And I think that maybe explains some of the psyche as Americans are looking at these numbers and going, you know what? It's not cheaper than it was. And if my wages aren't keeping up, that's going to be a problem for my overall household finances.
Christine, a moment ago, you mentioned not only is it not what we want to see, it's not what the Fed wants to see. What do we think when it comes to rates?
I mean, I think you're not going to see rate cuts anytime soon here, because you still have elevated inflation. Probably in the summer, we'll start talking about when the Fed can start cutting interest rates again. I do think what's important about the inflation story is just the build-on effect of higher prices month after month after month. And I think you can see that frustration in some of the polling. Consumer sentiment has been improving a little bit. Also, there's a lot of talk now about companies have been passing on higher labor and higher ingredients costs. And when will it be peak inflation saturation for consumers? A lot of the fast food companies noticed last week that their foot traffic was down because people want cheap stuff. They don't want to pay higher prices. So they can't keep raising prices indefinitely because I think the consumer has hit peak frustration with higher prices.
Brian, quickly here, people are worried about their bills. They're worried about their loans. What does this all mean for that?
Yeah, well, again, this is a reminder that because we're still talking about a positive number in terms of the inflationary figures, that prices are going to continue to go up. And policymakers just hope, to Christine's point, that they can get that pace to come down. But the goal is not to get prices to go down overall, which means that from a budgeting standpoint, people are still going to be spending a lot of money. We have to remember credit card borrowing rates are high. managing debt is going to be a big part of that household finances story in the months to come.
All right.
Once upon a time, a few dollars could purchase a quick meal at a fast food restaurant.
I think people should be able to eat good food without spending much money.
But these days, grabbing a burger and fries takes a much bigger bite out of your wallet.
Why are we not talking about these fast food restaurants going up too?
Almost $9 for a Big Mac.
Once home to the dollar menu, prices at the Golden Arches leaving a bad taste in the mouth of consumers who just want value. Going viral, the Big Mac meal priced at $18 at a Connecticut rest stop, and an Egg McMuffin selling for more than $7. Fast food companies are listening. McDonald's CEO says he's focusing on affordability this year.
2 McChicken and a medium Sprite for only $3.
Telling analysts that customers making $45,000 a year and less are ditching their Mickey D's and buying groceries instead. You can see why. The price of food at home rose just 1.3% over the past year, but food away from home jumped more than 5%.
They're here. McDonald's best burgers ever.
Brands like McDonald's rolling out upgrades to its famous burgers and hoping its new Cosmix franchise will help bring customers back.
I think one way consumers can kind of really find themselves going back in the door of some of these QSR fast food restaurants is finding out what brought them there to begin with. McDonald's did this last year. They started to bring nostalgia back.
Taco Bell was like the one place where you could actually stretch that money.
And Taco Bell expanding its value menu to 10 items under $3. The company remains dedicated to offering our fans delicious food at affordable prices. At Chipotle, sales and foot traffic rose in the quarter despite that 3% hike in menu prices in October. It all means finding the best deal will require a little bit of planning.
Most menus these days do have something that's considered a value menu or value option, but you do probably benefit more from doing your research ahead of time.
Okay, all those pictures making me hungry in the morning. You know, the McDonald's Corporation telling us at NBC News that pricing is typically up to franchisee and can vary by restaurant. The fast food giant always strives to strike the right balance of value for money with their customers, it says. We reached out to Chipotle for comment, did not hear back from Chipotle.
Oh, you're hungry?
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you. Loving it.
Thank you for bringing the $250 worth of breakfast sandwiches. Apart from like downloading those apps to get deals, points, anything else that people can do when they're at the drive-thru to save?
Some of these fast food companies are bundling and offering family meals, so it take a minute and just look and see if maybe that's a cheaper way to do it. And some of the experts actually recommended kids meals. If you don't have a big appetite, you don't need to have the big jumbo Big Mac combo. You know, a kid's meal is not enough for me. If I'm going to go to fast food, I'm going to eat fast food.
You got to go in.
Shrimp. Cool. But the other thing about like the $18 Big Mac that went viral, look, that's one store on the Connecticut Turnpike. These franchisees have a lot of leeway. You know, look, if you have a captive audience, you know, so
if you go to the airport, your water bottle's $6.
If you don't want to pay $18 for it, don't pay $18 for it. Find something else. But it is interesting to me that grocery prices in some cases are falling. Fast food prices are rising, and these CEOs, they know it. They're hearing these complaints, and they're going to be focusing on value. Look at all of those value items on the Taco Bell menu. They're actually expanding and promoting their value menu there.
I do like their Mexican pizza at Taco Bell.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Welcome. Eat up. Yum, yum.
You're going to have like 14 Mexican pizzas delivered to you today from Taco Bell for that. What do you like, Al?
I like these.
Sausage or plain?
Well,
Sausage or plain?
Well, either one.
Give it to the crew.
Joseph, there you go. Okay, guys. There you go.
It's the crew pitching these fast food stories.
There you go. Okay. Got to make sure the crew's taken care of.
That's my.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Okay. Anthony, there you go. All right, let's go. Oh, my gosh, there's still one left. Oh, Nate, here you go, Nate. There you go. All right, let's show you what we... Oh, Yosef, can you catch it? All right, yeah.